9/11, no pay for it day. It will soon be again the 9/11, the 11th of the 9th, times 13. This will be the 13th reiteration of this trauma-based terrorism. 9 being the spiral, 11 being the duality, the two columns, the two towers, the two socks, the duality of the spiral of the 9th. But yes, not going to go into esoteric numerology stuff. 9/11, no pay for it day. If you want to break away from that trauma-based control, that reiteration of mental terrorism, emotional terrorism, then stop consuming, stop feeding that thing which continuously reuses, reiterates, repropagates, reinforces that day and that meme that goes along with those words: 9/11, Terrorism Day, Patriot Day. Stop paying for it. Don't pay for it. Detach yourself physically, emotionally, spiritually. Be aware of it, investigate it, consider it, look at the information, see how it ties into everything else that's happened since then and prior to then. But don't let them keep using it as a psychological and spiritual whip to beat you with and to force you to follow a route that they are choosing and designing. Do something else for the day. Don't go shopping, don't do any banking, avoid anything that adds into that oil-based, economic, fiat money-based system in any way you can. Be aware of the consequences of what you do. If you take a day off work or you don't pay taxes in some way or whatever, be aware of potential consequences of what you choose to do. And if you choose to do it, it's up to you. Be aware of those consequences and you take on board what you're willing to deal with. Do what you can, as much as you can, in any way you can. And then doing what you can involves not doing things, so it makes it even easier for people to show their protest, to turn away from this and do something else. Do something else. Do something creative. Play an instrument, paint a picture, make something. Even if it's something non-physical, chat with friends and relatives and your neighbours and people in your local community. Share stories, create stories, think up new stories, and look at old stories. I've got some books here I want to show you as sort of lead this along in a almost story-like way. Read some books. I've got candles and I can sit and burn some nice incense and sit and read a book and not be consuming the electricity that is provided by this system. But anyway, yes, read a book. Read an old book that you haven't read in many years. Like I haven't read this in many, many years. Ancient stories, ancient storytelling, and showing the cycles of history repeating. Or maybe go walk or cycle somewhere, somewhere that you've never been before, somewhere you haven't been for ages, somewhere that connects you back through the history of your local community, your local area. See that ancient pathway that leads from there to where you are now. Maybe looking at that ancient stuff, those ancient connections, ancient wisdoms, and the recycling, the reiterating, the repeating of these mental control structures may help you realise that the emperor wears no clothes. It's all a big charade, a theatre, a Hollywood movie, a Hollyweird, a Hollywood movie. They create these situations. They create enemies so that they have a justification. When the leader has no longer any enemies, he will create one so that he has someone to fight. Paraphrasing Plato quote. You see the emperor has no clothes, and you see that recycling of those same things happening again and again and again, and used in the same ways to control people, to control populations, to steer creativity and productivity and energy. Because in the long run, it's all just part of the same old slave trade. They know that the real commodity, the real product, is you, and controlling what you do, where you go, how you live, how you expend your energy. And they want that energy to benefit them. They want to profit out of it in many different ways and for many different reasons, but they want to profit from you, from your slavery. And maybe when you've seen enough of that, you might get drawn more towards asking questions that require more ancient wisdoms that get passed on generation after generation, because they are helpful to people. They help people find their way. They help people swim against this controlling slavery energy, this parasitic controlling thing. Maybe you seek for answers in various places, including religions. There's a King James one. It's useful for if you're interested in the history of the Reformation and everything like that, because you can investigate how it was altered and changed, and more history. But you don't, not just one religion. You find answers and helpful wisdom in many different religions from across the globe, from all times, and they all contain things that you'll find useful, inspiring, and maybe you even venture into the more esoteric, looking for those answers. Maybe slightly more conspiratorial and esoteric, but venturing through all these different pathways, following all these different rabbit holes, looking for answers, for help, for information, for knowledge, for wisdom. For me, coming to that realisation that it was all about communion, communicating, not necessarily with this, but with everything, with all that is, with the creator, with the energy, with the universe, with it's very, very old and well worn and read, with the everything. And that leads to, it certainly did for me, lead to that question. It's all about choice. And what is it you choose to feed? You know, make a deal with the devil, or whatever name you want to choose for it, for whatever particular dogma or ideology, if you're an atheist, whatever particular side of the duality. Making that choice. What are you going to feed? Which wolf do you feed? More ancient wisdom, the two wolves. Read a book, read something interesting, make up your own book, make up your own story, but do something other than investing your energy into the same repeated trauma-based terrorism that is used to enslave you into their design. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Stop consuming in that military industrial complex, that banking complex, that whole corporatist structure that it has now become. Stop funding it in every way you can. Stop consuming from it. Starve that beast. 9/11, no pay for it day. Stop paying for it. Don't pay for it. No paying for your own enslavement.